Welcome to episode 37 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I'm your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today is the whitewash version of this show, where we do not have Matthew Aguilar with us, my regular co-host, but we've replaced him with two fine gentlemen. You guys already know Brandon Davis, one of our original Comic Book Nation Trinity members, but we've also brought his, sidekick.
Not anymore. I'm like his Jason Todd.
Yeah, you're like his Jason. That's a good thing.
Charlie and I used to be on camera together all the time.
Yeah.
And then we said,
you guys broke up the band, but we brought him back. This is Mr. Charlie Ridgely with us today. And we got a variety of stuff to talk about today. We're going to be going all over the map. We're going to be talking about a little bit of DC. We're going to be talking some Walking Dead. We are also going to be talking about that Magic the Gathering anime that we all knew was coming. And yeah, what
that was my excited sound.
What's that?
I don't know.
I like that sound. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about some new things going on in the realms of horror and some Disney news. So basically everything I need you guys for here. I mean,
is there anything else?
Between the two of you, you guys cover all this stuff pretty well. So let's just get into it and start right at the top. So last week we recorded and we were kind of talking about the possibility of Robert Pattinson becoming Batman. As soon as we kind of launched our episode last week, our final episode, it got confirmed. And since then, we've heard more and more information about this upcoming Matt Reeves Batman film. Robert Pattinson will be our Batman. It will be exploring a version of Batman who is younger and still kind of finding his footing as Batman. But this one's going to be a little bit different in the sense that Matt Reeves is really, really kind of re-expressing his interest in telling the story. You know, we've had The Dark Knight or like Batman Begins or, you know, all these other things, but he wants to tell the story of the world's greatest detective and how this kind of troubled young man stumbles into becoming the world's greatest, well, not stumbles, but goes on the mission, becomes the world's greatest detective, and eventually becomes, you know, the Batman that we know and love. So, what do you guys think about this casting, about this approach to the film? There's a bunch of kind of rumors that are starting to spill out already. Like, we already have heard we are going to have a variety of villains. Now we're hearing we might have an entire Bat family finally appear on screen. What are you guys thinking? Charlie Ridgely.
I mean, I like it. I've been a fan of this since like the rumors kind of started. Pattinson has been in Twilight for a long time. That's not the Pattinson that exists now as an actor. He's evolved so much.
Was Pattinson even bad in Twilight?
No.
I mean, no, the dialogue was bad, so it made him look bad at times because it was rough. Job? He did fine. But that's the image you're going to get. You're going to get this lanky, shiny vampire, and that's not who Pattinson is anymore. He's a really, really polished actor.
Mayer, like,
yeah.
He did his job.
He did his job.
Stu sold romance to an entire generation of kids.
He did his job. All I'm saying is if that's the version you think you're getting, that's not what's happening. Is he's proved that multiple times in every movie he's done since then. He's been fantastic. He's got a real gritty vibe to him. A lot. He can be really aggressive. I really, really like the fit. And I'm really interested. I spent a long time on Friday kind of piecing together like what could the rest of his Gotham look like, because casting Patman has such an effect on how you
don't say Patman.
No, I love Patman.
It's Pattinson. It's Eric Pattinson. It's not.
No, Patman.
It's actually our Bats.
No, Patman. It fits too easily not to have one of the two of these.
Pattinson.
Patman.
All right, whatever you want to call it.
Either way, it's really cool to see how they're going to cast Gotham City moving forward from this, because it's a whole trilogy of films. So like they're going to have characters that are going to be.
Yeah, we should note Matt Reeves isn't just doing the Batman. It was announced when it was confirmed Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman that Matt Reeves is actually set up for an entire trilogy of films at Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. Guess they're not making this.
I just want Warner Brothers to come out and say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still haven't said anything official, have they?
We say announced, but it's just announced by an outlet who knows sources. And I'm sure Warner Brothers is probably feeding stuff.
Multiple outlets have said that Warner Brothers confirmed to them.
Right, but why doesn't Warner Brothers just come out here and make a press release and make it official and say, and have the executives release a statement? This is why. Have Matt Reeves release a statement. I know we're really far out from this movie being released, and maybe that's why, but how we got the picture of Ben Affleck as Batman way before Batman vs. Superman came out. We got the news of Ben Affleck being cast as Batman years before
Yeah.
Batman vs. Superman came out.
It's the same thing with you asked the question in the office of the day, like why hasn't Marvel just announced the Black Widow movie?
No, the
It's
difference.
why-
Well, the
I'm saying,
difference
like,
is that with
it's this
Marvel,
whole studio thing not going
no,
forward yet.
Marvel had plans for Endgame, and they kept their plans a secret for a reason to prevent spoilers.
Right.
This is not that.
I'm saying, but now the Endgame's over, and with the movie shooting, it's like you haven't even said anything. Like, where's the confirmation that it's starting? It's kind of that mentality of keeping secrets as close as possible,
Maybe-
even when everyone knows it. But also, let's remember that Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you think there's just a common thread here, which is everybody's just saving their big guns for Comic-Con?
Yeah, because Pattinson's going to walk off stage. At Comic-Con
I'd be
for the
willing
first
to
time.
bet that Warner Brothers will. I don't know. Will Warner Brothers say something before Comic Con? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, they'll have
More
to
than a month away.
You can't just drop at Comic-Con.
Yeah, you're not
No.
going to
People
drop
have
it, but
to,
that's going to be like the
they got to
real
be
official,
hyped
like,
and get into Hall
here's
H
all
and
the
wait all night
information.
and do that stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
There
I
will
think
be
going
something
into
said
Comic-Con,
before Comic-Con.
But I mean,
Comic-Con will have the majority of news. There will be new news. Maybe they'll give the first look to the crowd at Comic-Con.
exactly.
But if you give that first look to the crowd at Comic-Con, then there's no chance, and Warner Brothers knows this better than most studios, that it's not that whatever image you show is not going to end up in a blurry, crappy version that was taken on a cell phone from the 73rd row in Hall H of the big screen up there, and it's going to be online, and that's how people are going to see it for the first time. You have to release it online simultaneously.
Yeah.
Now, look at the Suicide Squad trailer. I'll never forget that. They waited like 5 days, and that crappy leaked version was online.
I love that leak version.
But hey, it was great traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that leak version. I did. I watched that trailer so many times, and I loved it.
But I was in Hall H. I saw it, and I was like, it was completely different. It's a different experience.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you watch a leaked version, same thing happened with Endgame. Endgame, they were better at preventing leaks until a week before, but they were better at preventing Disney's just somehow on top of, at D23, nothing comes out. At Marvel's Hall H studio, if it gets online, I don't know how Disney does it, but
gone
they pull it
immediately.
down so fast. The other studios aren't as on top. I don't know how Disney does it. They own half the world. Maybe that helps. But Warner Brothers just runs the risk of people finding out. I think that we'll hear about Batman before Comic-Con.
Yeah, I think, just to clarify, I thought you were right, but I misheard you before. I think typically in past, what they do for these kinds of things is they drop a first look of him, like in one of those EW Comic-Con preview magazines. They'll drop the first look at him in the back.
I think they let Matt Reeves tweet it.
I don't even think he'll be in the bat suit. I think they'll show him in an actual like Bruce Wayne suit in
I think it could go either way.
the Wayne Manor somewhere like that.
Ben Affleck's first look was in the bat suit.
Yeah, I mean,
and that was also the
we have
Comic-Con where
plenty
they
of
dropped
fan art for
entirely
him in
too
a
much
suit.
information.
Like, yeah, I think you're going to get.
I
think
could
you're
see
gonna
Matt
get
Reeves tweeting it.
a partial reveal, whether it's just him in the cowl from the head up or something.
I'll tell you why I think Matt Reeves will tweet it. Because Warner Brothers has been head on about getting their directors involved with the fans. James Wan was all over Aquaman's press tour. David F. Sandberg doesn't like talking to people, was all over Shazam's press tour. James Wan and David F. Sandberg are very different people.
I think Patty Jenkins shared the first image of Wonder Woman in 1984.
Patty Jenkins is all over Wonder Woman. I mean, I think from now going forward, they're going to want the directors, the filmmakers to be at the forefront of these campaigns. And I think Matt Reeves, is Robert Pattinson even on social media? I don't think he has social media
think he does.
accounts.
I don't think so.
I think Matt Reeves will drop the first look on Twitter. I mean, and he's the only person involved with this film who has outwardly, publicly commented on
Even
this.
remotely
He put the bat
addressed, yeah.
emojis and he put Robert Pattinson, which is the closest we've come. Well, I mean, we know what that means. He's saying Robert Pattinson is my Batman. He wanted it to happen. He made it happen. It happened. He acknowledged it. But that's the closest we've come, and he's going to be at the forefront of this. There's no question in my
I
mind.
predict this. I predict that going into Comic-Con, Matt Reeves will drop a tweet that says, "See you guys at Hall H," and it'll be a picture of Batman.
That's a good. I mean, something along those lines. Yes, I think if that's not exactly it, I think you're close to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be something like that. From him, like you said, directorial driven, because that is the Warner Brothers plan. That's what they.
It's worked so far. Since
working
they've
well.
shifted to that, it has worked.
Yeah, and I think they'll do that. So, and I'm pretty sure we'll get something from like Black Widow. or something.
I think that's the opportunity. You know, not to maybe if you don't hold that first look, the opportunity at Comic-Con is to any of the details about it, like what characters are actually. There's always reports about what characters and stuff.
'Cause you
Like
could do
what
a
they did
whole
with Loki and the
Avengers-style
Avengers. When they
rollout,
came out,
yeah.
like, oh, Loki's the villain. Welcome, and then Tom Hiddleston walks out. Like that's when you can say, here are the villains in the movie. We're gonna have Penguin.
Yeah,
But at the
and
same
Penguin-
time,
surprise casting.
At the same time, I think they may reveal the cast before Comic-Con and then just roll them out on the stage at the same time. Because
exactly same thing.
once those people are all assembled in San Diego, someone's going to sniff it out and break it before
Right,
Warner Brothers
100%,
gets a
100%.
chance. But I think we'll have before Comic-Con,
That's
we
the
will
Hudgens.
have.
Why are
news.
you walking around on the back of Hall H?
Why is Josh Gad backstage before the Warner Brothers
monocle on?
panel?
What are you doing,
Imagine
dude?
that.
Yeah.
I love it.
All
I
right,
love
so
it.
how about this story thing? Do you guys cool with this? Do you I mean, the world's greatest detective, what would you want to kind of see from that?
I want to see technology used in innovative ways, because I think that a lot of the best comic book movies right now, or just movies, adapt to current culture and the world we live in. And I want to see Batman thrust into a world that we live in, and I mean, obviously he'll have advanced tech and things like that, but using real world issues today, real world technology today, plus comic book technology, but to solve a problem, to become Batman, and like be forced to because of a villain, because every good Batman story is driven by a villain. I mean, Batman as a character defined by his villains. I want to see him I want to see a modern take on the character, different from anything before. And I mean, I want that same tone that Reeves did with the War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I mean, that tone, like, it just felt so real. That's a world that we don't live in. Apes are not that smart in this world, but it felt like
Except when
so
fighting Godzilla.
gritty. Well,
Like,
don't even get me started.
I
Godzilla would destroy
kind of liken
Kong.
this to, I guess what I want to see at least, is to what the Russos did when they came on and did Winter Soldier. And you have this big fantastical world of superheroes, and they grounded it and made it really, really intense and really realistic and still really exciting in that moment. I think that Reeves is the person to do that with Batman. And I love that he's going after the detective thing, because that's something that has kind of been overlooked in the movies a lot. And yeah, that's what I want to see. Like, there are two real stories to me that drive that home. One is The Court of Owls, and one is Hush. And I would love over the trilogy
rather
to
see Hush.
I want to see one of those two, if not both, play out over the course of over the course of 3 movies. But I think Court of Owls, the way Scott Snyder did it, it is such a great way to launch a first movie and really launch a character with these villains that are they're not important what their identity is. You know, you might have Penguin in the movie, you might have Catwoman in the movie, but the main villain kind of being this entity that you don't understand.
But do you want to see
and
other
investigate.
heroes in the movie? Other DC heroes?
No.
Not really.
I mean, the Bat Family. I think it's time for the Bat Family.
I mean, I'm ready for the Bat Family.
I'm ready for that.
But do you think in the second or third movie, Aquaman pays a visit?
No.
No.
I don't want that. I think they're doing really good with their separate corners.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of doing that all.
So does this mean that ensembles are dead for DC?
No, I think you just
For
got to.
now.
I mean, you just basically wait a little bit and then slowly copy Marvel. Just bring everybody together.
And just say,
Yeah.
okay, forget Ben Affleck was Batman.
Yeah, because if it's
Let's
too
just
soon, you're gonna
forget
have all these
that
people
period.
freaking out about Jason Momoa meeting Robert Pattinson, and be like, "Well, but you knew Ben Affleck," and it's like you kind of have to play carefully with that, because all
People are going to say that whether it happens
Right,
last
obviously.
week
Yeah, we're
or
back to our
5
Venom
years.
question that I'm not prepared
Obviously.
to.
Well, that's
to-
different.
But
I
if
mean,
it happens in the
The
movie-
difference is that I feel like Warner Brothers is slowly going to just transition into like, well, let's just sweep that under the rug and tell
think-
stories for right now.
Yeah.
And then that's going to bring up the questions of, well, he met the Joker in Suicide Squad. How does he have a different Joker? And
Well, I
we'll just
think you
have
can
to accept
flub
it because it'll be a good movie.
I mean, what are we talking about? By the end of the third film, if these are all younger in his career, by the end of 3 films, it's like, what, 9, 10 years later?
Robert Pattinson is going to look exactly like Ben Affleck.
Or close enough that we can just throw him in there and be like,
So do you think it'll be set in today's world, or do you think this will be a noir 80s, 90s?
No, I think it'll be today,
I think Batman's good about setting you in a world that is today, like Batman the Animated.
but it doesn't always feel like
it was
today.
modern, yet it was also the
I
19th.
said Gotham did that forever.
Yeah.
You never knew what time period
Exactly.
that
So-
it was actually set in.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving on. We're going to talk about something that has strangely brought me and BD together. There is, yeah, right? I love your expression for that. There's going to be a Magic the Gathering anime. And
This is the best.
I'm really into anime. What I did not know is that our own Brandon Davis was kind of a Magic geek back in the day.
Big magic guy here. How you doing?
And so this is coming back, and it's coming from your buddies, the Russo brothers.
It's the best.
And it's going to be on Netflix. And wow, like nobody saw this one coming, right? Like who knew? Who knew the Russos were that into Magic the Gathering? Like,
The Russos are huge nerds.
oh, I know.
That's why they're good at this.
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
knew that. I didn't know they were like deep into Magic. Like,
I just
Gathering.
imagine them on the set of Arrested Development playing Magic between takes with each other, telling everybody, "Hold on, we're on break. I just summoned something, and I don't want to get too into it, but I'll show my nerdy side." If
So you guys like. I mean, I don't know anything. I never got too deep into Magic, so I don't know like all the classes, all that stuff. I was more like towards the D late '80s end.
What do you mean?
Like I don't know anything about Magic. Like I
Oh,
have
Yeah,
no
I'm gonna
idea.
defer to
Okay.
you because I
So
don't.
I'm
I
looking
don't
at you for like what would be cool
I mean,
in this series.
well, it depends. I mean, if they're going with the current Planeswalker story, which is ending right now, and the card game is always based on novels. I haven't been reading the novels right now, but the novels are coming to an end. There's this character named Nicol of Bola or something like that, and he's just this all-powerful being, and he's wiping out the whole world. And these Planeswalker characters are kind of like these creatures with special abilities, and each one is going to. Some of them are made up for the card game. Some of them play roles in the novels. And right now, I mean, it's just like the card game right now is all about destroying entire worlds and armies and all this kind of crazy stuff. But in the past, I mean, it's just a fantasy world. It's just a little bit. I mean, you could compare it to, I guess, Lord of the Rings, maybe even more, I guess, fantasy than that. Warcraft, I guess, would be a closer comparison. And there's just always novels to accompany the card game. So if you're playing the card game, you pick up the book and it lets you put a story to the name on the card, the art on the card, and getting in an anime. It depends. I mean, I'm excited to hear what kind of animation it's going to be. Megan Peters is our anime girl here. She wants it to be 2D animation. I'm not entirely opposed to 3D animation if they do it in a really interesting way, not like your boring.
You don't want the Star Wars stuff.
No, I don't want that. I don't want Star. I don't. And not that I consider Star Wars stuff boring. I don't think that would fit the tone of Magic the Gathering. You need something that can look so fantastic.
It would have to be like those Love and Sex and Robots or Sex and Robots, whatever that was on Netflix, the anthology series. It would have to look like a lot of those did, where it was very realistic looking animation. But then that kind of takes away the anime side, and
I mean,
might not fit in
Into
that
the
box.
Spider-Verse would be interesting.
Yeah, into the Spider-Verse.
But it still would be challenging to create like these spells and just
I
things
think the
of that
simple
nature.
answer for comparison to this, that when I initially heard it, is Castlevania. Adi Shankar's Castlevania, which I'm sure was part of the reasoning for why Netflix went with this, because they've had big success with Castlevania in that anime. They're doing Zelda, so this would fit in that kind of block.
With the Russo brothers.
Hollywood meets anime, that kind of thing.
I think the Russo brothers being attached can give us kind of an expectation of something innovative.
Yeah.
I don't think they would do it if they weren't going to do something we haven't seen before.
No, and all the spells, the casting, the battles, anime will be great for that. And I would want traditional 2D. So
I just cannot wait for that series.
all right, me either. So that's it. Magic the Gathering is becoming an anime on Netflix. So don't dump your service quite yet, because you might want to watch that. Moving
Watch
right
out,
along.
Disney
If
Plus.
that wasn't WTF enough, we're going to move along to a new topic. And I threw this one in here just because I was scrolling through. I scroll through the site to see what headlines to put in the show, and I got to this one and I just couldn't move the scroll for a minute. I was like, wait, what? So we are getting a Magic the 8-Ball horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happening. That is a thing that's happening. We are getting a Magic the Gathering horror movie, Magic 8-Ball horror movie. And Blumhouse is making it. They also made the Ouija movie, so not surprising there. I mean, here's what they say.
Is this the movie that Hardwick is
Here's
directing
what they
for Blumhouse?
say. Since the 1950s, I didn't even know Magic 8-Ball was that old, to be honest with you. Since the 1950s, Magic 8-Ball has inspired imagination, suspense, and intrigue across generations. This iconic toy has a built-in connection with fans and untapped potential for storytelling. Mattel Films. Oh, good. The toy makers are making this. There are no partners better suited to tell the Magic 8-Ball story in collaboration with Mattel Films than Jeff Wadlow and Blumhouse Productions, whose unique approach to the thriller genre has captivated audience worldwide and has gained widespread accolades. Okay, so just a quick little background on this. First of all, there's no reason to be confident about this. Jeff Wadlow, if you don't know who Jeff Wadlow is, he directed that terrible movie Cry Wolf, bad horror movie, and he also directed Kick-Ass 2.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is he directing or producing?
He's directing it.
I feel like he did. I feel like I saw something. This is the second Blumhouse movie. Didn't he do Truth or Dare or one of those recent Blumhouse cheap but made good money
God, I forgot
movies?
all about Truth or Dare, which wasn't the most horrible actually.
Blumhouse makes movies that cost $20 to make, and they make $100 to the box office. It doesn't matter.
Yes, he did direct Truth or Dare. Very good, Charlie.
Yeah, so I mean, he had recent success. So the movie wasn't awesome, but
No, I mean
it
he's
wasn't as bad.
he's like the Louis Leterrier of horror film directing. He's a studio guy.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's what I'll say about this. We're not going to waste too much time on this. Ouija 1, like sucked. It was real bad.
Never watched.
You shouldn't.
Won't.
Ouija 2, the prequel, was actually pretty good.
Never watched.
It was actually pretty good. And it was because there's that little girl, Lulu, I think her name was like Lulu Wilson. She was also in Annabelle Creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like the main character in that. And she's like a little tiny scream queen mogul. She's been getting that money.
Yeah.
So she made it the second one really good. Well, not really good, but much better than the first. Just like Annabelle Creation was much better than the first one. So, yeah, it could be hit
the
or miss.
Magic 8 Ball sequel is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it can be hit or miss with these concepts. It really depends on like what you do. Like Truth or Dare actually found a way to kind of take that game and make it into something scary. And it was kind of messed up. Like you had to do the dares, like somebody to crush their hand and one stuff. And the truth was like really messing up people and their relationships with each other and stuff like that. So that was a good, clever thing. I don't know what you do with the Magic 8 Ball.
I mean,
First of all, are the ghosts going to get you with the answers? Because half the time you shake those things, the bubbles make it impossible to even read like what's on a Magic 8 Ball. Be like, wait, what does that say? Like what?
I don't know how they do it, but like one thing that we're kind of overlooking is like we're looking at these horror movies, like these, especially these teen horror movies, because they're the ones that sell tickets. But the one thing we're kind of like missing is one of my favorite franchises recently. I'm hoping it doesn't end with 2 films, but they're Blumhouse and Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day movies are great, and they're so funny. They're so campy. They're also really ultra violent and kind of scary. And if you're looking at that kind of tone with something like a Magic 8 Ball, and it's kind of a joke in and of itself, but also a horror movie.
I don't feel like that because if Mattel Films.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do.
They're trying to sell.
I'm
8
saying
balls.
That's the way to do this movie.
Basically,
right.
what I see in this is a toy company making films that will get kids to stop buying Magic 8 Balls as stupid party favors because nobody does that anymore, and start buying them to scare each other with, like a Ouija board. And it's just like, okay, I guess.
It's just going to determine your fate.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
have
don't
to
know.
ask the Magic 8 Ball, will I get hit by this bus?
Yeah, like if they straight like Final Destination.
That could
what I'm
be
saying,
good
you can't take it that
psychological
seriously.
horror. Like if you get something and then you're like, I'm not going outside today. Like everybody's so paranoid because it's like outlook good.
And then the bus comes into your living room.
Yeah, exactly. Like no matter what you do, like it comes true. Like no matter how you try. It could be
Final Destination. Yeah, exactly.
Like or Death Note. All right. So there's possibility, but you're gonna have to walk one hell of a tightrope to kind of pull this off. Because I mean, initially hearing it, my reaction was just to stop. And
I mean, really, is there any way to disappoint people with a Magic 8 Ball movie?
No, it's gonna because like we're all expecting
making
the
a
same
Magic
thing.
8 Ball movie. That's
You
it.
know, the bar is already on the ground, so you can't really dig.
No. But all right, we don't got a lot of time to stick on this. I'm going to be interested for that first trailer.
I'm gonna go watch the movie. I can tell
watch
you
it
right
look
now, I'm gonna watch the
amazing.
movie.
I mean, if it is, hey man.
It's gonna be absurd, and whichever way it goes, it's gonna be weird.
All right, moving right along. Let's go to the lighter side of things with Disney. We're going to take a real quick stop at The Lion King. This is why, Charlie, I wanted you on because you're one of our 2 Disney experts when Matt's not here. So, The Lion King revealed some more voices and kind of character details. What are you thinking? Seth Rogen, Beyonce, what else?
Yeah. So the TV spot had Beyonce, had Seth Rogen, had Billy Eichner as Timon. Beyonce as Nala is perfect. Like it's exactly the kind of tone you want. It's welcoming and warm and feels like home and really feels hopeful. She's a perfect fit for Nala. Seth Rogen he is Pumbaa. Like Pumbaa looks kind of scary, honestly, because it's a real warthog, and warthogs don't look like kids think they look like from watching Lion King. But he's a good fit for that. Billy Eichner, I love Billy Eichner.
Terrifying
I'm
to
not
look at.
totally sold yet, but we only heard like 2 lines of dialogue from the Meerkats. So, like I don't know if Timon's going to be awesome or just like okay, but none of it's been a bust for me so far. I think it's with a cast like that and with Favreau, you can't go wrong.
Have we heard Donald Glover yet?
No. The only up until this TV spot, all we had heard was Mufasa, which we heard it's James Earl Jones, so there's no change from the original movie. And then we heard Chiwetel Ejiofor do Scar in one trailer.
Listening to you guys pronounce names.
I mean, I hope that's
really-
right. I'm just winging it. So
Chiwetel, but like just the Kofi takes pride in his pronunciations.
I'm just gonna go for it.
No,
And if
I
I'm
don't.
wrong, it'll be fine.
I started this show off by saying Kavit. I don't take any
Footage.
pride in everything.
But we've only heard those 2 voices till this thing this week, and then we got a little glimpse of a couple others. But Donald Glover, we still haven't heard. We still haven't heard John Oliver Zazu, which I'm really excited to hear. I think that's really funny. We haven't heard everything yet. And we always forget Keegan-Michael Key is going to be one of the hyenas, and like I'm low-key super looking forward to that.
I keep getting that role confused with his Toy Story 4 role with Jordan Peele. Like, Yeah.
Ducky and Bunny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm Nala, Simba's mama, and I'm a whole
But
lot
no,
of
because
woman.
the reason I brought this up is because the voice and
Fox,
animating the animals to look like they're talking is usually one of the last things that we get. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested as a Disney aficionado. Like, how are you feeling?
Well, this is that one.
This is a big deal. I
movie.
mean, this is
It's
movie's
going to be a
gonna be
huge
awesome.
deal. It's a huge, and this movie doesn't need to. We don't need to hear Donald Glover as Simba before this movie because they're using almost entirely nostalgia in the trailers, like all the music and the certain scenes. There's a scene of the three of them, walking across the log over the moon as they grow up to Hakuna Matata. Like there's a scene in this TV spot of Scar and Simba like clashing at the top of that like fiery mountain. Like they're using the iconic images and then the iconic music from the animated film to get us hooked. You don't really need to show us what it's going to be. Like you don't need to sell us on the voices because we're going to go anyway because of the way it looks.
So
you in?
Awesome.
You in?
No, I mean yeah. I'm there was no way I wasn't in. I mean I don't know why they're making it. I mean other than to print money.
I mean, they're just remaking everything.
Because it is weird that the posters are like, here's a lion and it's Simba, and it's like it's just a picture of a lion and a picture of a meerkat, and like it's a little strange, but also like it's going to make an endless amount of money, so it makes sense, and it's gonna
Just a
it's
showcase
gonna make
of
us
how
emotional.
far
Like it's
technology has come.
yeah.
I mean, it's animated, sure, it's computer graphics, but they're calling it live action, and that's just. I mean, you've seen the trailers, you've seen the posters, you've seen the terrifying image of Seth Rogen as Pumbaa. Like it looks so real, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna make
I don't
it
think
way
Jon
sadder.
Favreau knew what he was opening the door to when he did the Jungle Book.
You can
it's
count
so-
the hair on these animals. Like it's unbelievable.
It's insane, and it's gonna be so much sadder when we get to the emotional parts of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
like
Seeing a lion
like,
die is-
and I mean
messes some kids
Mufasa,
up.
and then like there's a scene in the trailer when you're watching when Simba's running from the stampede, and like, I got like emotional seeing that because it's like he looks real, and like, I want to protect him. He's not just a cartoon.
Takes me
you
back
know?
to Kevin Hart running from the Stampede in Jumanji. Takes me back.
All right, so sounds like things are going along on track with The Lion King. That's going to do it for our news flash. Stay tuned because when we come back, we are going to break down some DC Universe TV and we are going to review Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 premiere. So be sure to stay tuned. All right, so let's jump to DC Universe. I was kind of hoping producer Jim Viscardi was going to be in on this because he and I were having this whole discussion yesterday that got me thinking about this, but of course, he's in meetings or doing producer stuff.
He got a
so-
tummy ache.
Did he?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay, because I have all kinds of aches right now. But all right, so
Wow.
no, I meant like
Wow.
being ill. Nothing.
No,
gross.
wow.
Nothing
Hey.
gross. So we're gonna
That's-
talk about DC Universe because we got the end of one series, Doom Patrol, and the beginning of another Swamp Thing in the last week or so. And as Jim and I were talking about, like, yeah, I mean, pound for pound, DC Universe has been, and I think we talked about this a couple shows ago, but like a really good series so far. I watched Swamp Thing. It wasn't my favorite pilot out of all of them so far. That's still Doom Patrol by far, but it's still good. I mean, just in the beginning, seeing how far they go with horror. I mean, they just impale a kid in the first 10
shot
minutes.
in that with the moon, the way it's lit,
Yeah.
and the shadows, like that shot is so gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's a crazy.
Yeah, and it's just full on horror. So I'm kind of into Swamp Thing already, but yeah, I want to sing praises especially for Doom Patrol and wrapping its first season because that show I can't say enough good things about. There's nothing else like it in comic book TV, and I mean the closest thing you would probably say would be like Umbrella Academy or something like that.
yeah.
But it's way like weirder, and they just really went there in the best kind of wackiest way. And every episode was like a real. I almost cursed. Oh my gosh, I really almost cursed there. Was just like a really kind of, and I think it's because Doom Patrol, they curse all the time.
All the time.
Yeah,
nonstop.
so like it's like a really head screw, but like it's at once funny, so absurdly funny, but like so deep at the same time. I mean, they go into things about like sexual orientation and repression, sex abuse, a guy who's just like a complete piece of crap that gets his family killed and has to deal with that, mental illness, like all this stuff they deal with, and they never shy away from it. It was like really serious, and when it got dramatic, it was really good. And I think on that note, the best episode that illustrated all that for me was the Therapy Patrol episode where you get like they all sit down to have this therapy session they realize like they're all screwed up and they try to work it out. and then you get it in this. It's almost like an anthology episode where you get it from each character's perspective of how that day goes. And yeah, and that was just, it was just really good. It mixed all the absurdity and the drama and like some of the action into a story of essentially like Brendan Fraser's character, Robot Man, like has a rat running around in his brain. That's what like sparks this whole thing. And at the end, the rat becomes one of the two main villains of like the finale and stuff. But yeah, and it just brings me back to what we were talking about. Me and BD were kind of going back and forth about this, but I really wish DC Universe should just kind of like break out and give these shows another platform, even if it's second run. Like in another 2 months, I wish Doom Patrol ended up somewhere like on Netflix, because they're doing that with like Titans Overseas on Netflix. And I think a lot of people are missing out, and they would get more people into the service if they would just give them a chance to discover these shows outside of the service and then come back to it. But I love Doom Patrol. I'm in for Swamp Thing. And like, yeah, DC Universe pound for pound has been pretty great on the original programming. But that's my 2 cents. Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the whole time you were talking, like, I wish people watched DC Universe. And I know like DC fans out there, a lot of you guys listening to this are probably watching DC Universe because you're fans of DC Comics. But like, no people that I talk to outside of the kind of the direct small pocket of like the comic industry, they aren't watching these shows because they're on DC Universe. And you don't need to pay for no one's paying for those additional streaming services. No. You know, like no one's going to shell out another $7 a month for DC Universe, and you would if you knew how great these shows were.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that gets me. It's like with a small alteration, like just a couple things added to the TV section plus these original series. I think if you are a hardcore DC fan, this would be the one streaming service that is pound for pound worth your buck.
Yeah.
Like
it's DC doesn't have, just because it hasn't produced as much over time, like Disney Plus is going to launch, and it's this whole company with all these sub companies that has all this stuff to offer you. Even if there was no original content, you're probably going to pay for it because of Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Disney Animation, Disney Live Action, like all this stuff. And DC just doesn't have that library because it's not a giant production company that's been going on for generations. You know, it's a comic book company that became entertainment, and you know, it needs those eyes on it. And, you know, it's something that CBS All Access did, which I think that's in the same boat, you know, like Twilight Zone. We all like that, but we're not going to pay for no streaming service just for Twilight Zone. Where the first day that Twilight Zone launched, they put the first episode for free on YouTube. Maybe it was like a whole weekend it was available or something. But DC could put out the first 3 episodes of Swamp Thing once the whole season's, you know, like the week before the finale, put the first 3 episodes out on YouTube and let people watch it. And be like, sign up to see what happens, like to finish it out. You know, give people a chance to see what this is going to be. Because, I mean, I've seen 2 episodes of Swamp Thing now, and it is one of my new favorite shows.
Yeah, every
it's
Friday,
so good.
I come in here, and the first thing I do is log on DC Universe and watch whatever the new episode is. Start my day every single Friday, and never sorry for it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm worried about this because I don't want to see Titans get canceled. I think it's going somewhere good. I definitely do not want to see Doom Patrol get canceled. That show and the cast are so great. Swamp Thing's growing on me. I'm excited for Stargirl. There's so much to do with these characters.
The big thing that will help this going forward is that Warner Media is launching their own streaming service, which why you need one when you already have, like, your child has one? That seems really weird. But if DC Universe does start to struggle, which there's rumors that it was, but I don't think those kind of got debunked.
Yeah, we don't have any clear. I mean, there's no clear measurement.
Except Warner Media is such a big thing that if Warner Media launches a streaming service and it's successful, it can either package DC Universe or absorb DC Universe and keep those shows going depending on its success. And so I think there's multiple opportunities there for those shows to keep going. I'm worried about the timing, and I'm worried about, you know, the viewers right now. And if it's like, well, no one's watching the show, we can't even afford to.
Yeah, and
wait.
I feel like it's one of those things, like, if it gets canceled, they're going to dump it somewhere, and then everybody's going to be like, it'll be one of those things that everybody comes too late.
This, yeah.
Like, yeah. All right, well, that's a good depressing note to move on to another depressing topic. Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 has premiered, and I don't know if you guys saw some of that After the Dead. That's our show. See, you guys have done a good branding. Every time I start to talk about it, I always say the name of you and Janelle show. Talking Dead, I guess, would be the Chris Hardwick one. Yeah.
That's that other show.
Yeah, it's that other show. But if you guys were seeing that
until the mid-season finale, they're
really
not doing an episode. They're not doing it every Sunday. They took a break.
Fear gets.
They took a break.
So only Fear the Walking Dead after show lives on Comicbook.com.
We don't do After the Dead.
No, we don't do After the Dead.
Well, never mind. Then there isn't one.
It's the redheaded stepchild.
But
But I heard on
plugged
that
something that doesn't exist.
Talking Dead that there was a list of grievances that Chris Hardwick wrote that came from a specific source.
Oh no, those were compliments.
Oh, were they?
But I did have a list of grievances on Twitter, but he read my compliments tweet.
Okay. I caught like the very tail end of it. And I thought it was
Yeah.
him just being like, "Where is this? What is this?" Da, 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 da. And then I thought it was you. And I was-
Yeah, he did read
I heard.
one of
I
my
literally
tweets.
tuned in and heard Davis, and I was like, "I feel like that's BD." And then I came and asked you, and you were like, "Yeah, that was me."
Yeah, he did. He did read one of my tweets, but it was a tweet that I wrote after seeing the season 5 trailer. That was compliments towards the trailer. After watching the season 5 premiere, I did have a similar tweet with the same bullet point format, which was more full of criticisms.
So what was your? Because I'm interested to hear. Like, I've been in for Fear since the beginning. I've enjoyed the show since the beginning.
You liked the first season?
I thought it was a work in progress. I liked parts of the first season. Like, I liked when they got to the stadium and they saw, or like the big venue, and they saw like a picture of what an entire city going through this kind of zombie apocalypse looked like, and they had to get out and figure that out. I liked all that. I did not like the character stuff. I thought it was like trying to put a family drama in the middle of Walking Dead just didn't work. So I
Well,
was
it
happy.
did for The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but that was kind of a loose family of survivors. Like an actual family
Right.
was like a little bit different, and the characters were kind of misconceived in the beginning. Like,
The audience was smarter than the characters, which was
Yeah.
the number one problem. Was the audience had so much more information than the characters
Yeah.
did, and the characters not only seemed stupid, but acted stupidly.
yeah, and if you like see like what
Anyway.
just looking back at like what Madison was, what Curtis was, specifically like what Nick was, and Alicia. Alicia was just like sitting around with her boyfriend who never.
She had her iPod that was too
Yeah.
new for.
And that
the
whole
show at the
character, it's
time.
obvious. Like they just that conception was not too good.
The only character that was
liked
really
it
good in the
season 2
beginning.
when they went on the ocean and they started like having ocean zombies.
Yeah.
I think it
That
found its
started to
footing
pick
in
up.
season 2, and then it started to really find it in the later part of season 2 when they got to Mexico.
Exactly.
Tijuana stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think that's why
season 3
people attach to Strand so quickly and are such big fans of Strand
was
now.
interesting, yeah.
Because from the beginning, from the first time you met Strand, he was intriguing. And there was
Yeah.
only 6 episodes in the first season, so it's easy
He
to
didn't
watch
come in
through.
until episode 5.
Right. And once you get to the end, I was like, I don't know. And then this guy's like, okay, I'm
liked
I'm
Nick.
more hooked because this guy's really interesting to me.
I did too, but I didn't think the junkie drama would be enough to sustain an entire
I think
series.
Dave Erickson had plans for the show that weren't consistent with what the plans became from Scott Gimple and AMC. And at first he wasn't. I mean, I'm not defending Dave Erickson's first season and a half, but I think season 3 was the best single season of either Walking Dead show. And he was building towards his end game for Fear, which I think would have been very, very, very interesting. And now it's just become a supplement to The Walking Dead in a lot of ways. It's still its own story. Like Alicia and Strand are still very interesting, but they're just kind of spinning the wheel, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, that was a weird thing about this premiere. It was good in the sense of picking up with where we left off before about these people now having a very clearly defined mission and what they're doing and how it's different.
Is it clearly defined? Like, that's my problem.
But here's the thing. Like, this is where I have a problem with the first episode. What they do to set up the conflict of this season in the first episode, it just makes the character seem
What is the
like
conflict? I don't
ridiculous. I mean, just getting back this place that they want to have, this haven.
That's not the conflict of the season. I've seen the next 3, and that's not.
I'm just talking.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just
Yeah.
no. I'm letting you know. Like that, I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's not the like. You would think that's going to, and it will be a factor later. But I've seen the next 3 episodes, and that doesn't even become a factor.
But here's my thing: is the premiere sets them up as being ridiculously naive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't buy that. I'm like, these people have all been out on the road. They've been through.
It's
hell.
been years at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And Morgan is one of the least stupid characters
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
whole universe of The Walking Dead.
And they were outmaneuvered out of their haven by this one guy. And
That's
like,
not my problem.
And I was just like, I feel, and it's like, and it's taking us back to a Walking Dead plot point that's like from the beginning of each or any one of the series. Don't trust anybody because people are going to screw you over. Like, don't try to help people or any call for help me or anything. It's not going to work out.
I mean,
well.
they essentially got catfished in the first episode.
Yeah, and it was like after season 4 was just one long catfish.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had a problem with that. But the characters
Back half of season
themselves,
4 was rough.
yeah, the characters
half of
themselves. I mean, I did like the vehicular combat. I did like that.
I mean, there were highlights. It's not without its highlights, but I feel like season
no, the
4
villain story, like, yeah,
became they weren't sure if, to me, the impression I got was they're not sure if they're going to get season 5. So let's dangle this fruit of let's go to Alexandria throughout the back half, just in case we don't. And if we don't, we'll merge the two shows together and all be fine. And if we do, then you know what? Morgan will say, forget Alexandria. Let's have our own season 5 here in Texas. And I think that's what happened. I really think like they weren't sure if they'd get season 5. And when they did, they changed the ending. They ended it accordingly. And they just had a safe, boring back half of season 4. I mean, it's a shame because you have cast members and characters who could, like, the development on Alicia as a character has been almost equivalent to Carol on The Walking Dead. Alicia was not smart. She was making terrible decisions. She was a young, dumb teenage girl who put the group in danger. Carol, on the other hand, was timid and in a terrible abusive relationship and afraid to do anything outside of that. And they've both evolved into the strongest fan favorite female characters. Two of the most beloved characters on television. I mean, granted, Fear the Walking Dead doesn't have a big audience, but the people who like her as much as anybody likes a TV on.
No, I mean that Alicia suffocation in the bunker episode was like
This Land Is Your Land, season 3.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah,
great
that
episode.
was
showed you Alicia
it was one of the riskiest episodes that they've made of The Walking Dead, and it paid off.
It showed you what Alicia Debnam Carey can do as an actress, and they haven't let her do that really very much since, at least in the back half of season 4 and throughout. Lenny James, on the other hand, is getting all the camera time, and he's great. I'm never going to complain about Lenny James getting camera time. He is one of the most talented actors on television, and I feel like he's outgrown the show. Either Walking Dead show. He's tremendous. He had a small role in Blade Runner 2049. This dude needs to, I don't know, find something because he is so talented. But they need a villain. My point here, to going back to you saying that they have a mission, is every story needs a villain. Like, you cannot drive a narrative forward without your protagonist having a clear antagonist, and we don't get a clear antagonist and an interesting antagonist at all quickly in Fear Season 5. And that's how it suffers, because the characters are interesting.
Yeah, this is like the best ensemble, I will say.
Yeah.
Like, I love Alicia. I love Strand. I love
Jenna Elfman,
Morgan.
Garrett Dillahunt.
Yeah, I was about to say,
great.
my two favorite
Austin
Walking Dead
Amelio,
characters.
dude. Austin Amelio is one of my favorites from The Walking Dead. Now he's on Fear, and his entrance is great. And the show starts to, it's going to start to go into almost cartoonish territory with some of the things it's going to do. It's like everything The Walking Dead can't do. I mean, they did a freaking tiger, but like, take the tiger and just do that kind of crazy, silly stuff. And Fear starts doing that, and people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it. I think it gets better. I think it gains from it. Daniel Salazar coming back, Ruben Blades, tremendous actor. He comes back for a little while. You'll see him next week or this Sunday, but it's good to get him back. And he's entertaining, but again, they need a clear-cut villain. And then the show.
And that's something I haven't thought of with Fear, but the more you say it, like the more it makes total sense. When you look at The Walking Dead, the best parts of The Walking Dead, you can name all of these awesome villains. Like, Shane was an amazing villain. The governor was a fantastic villain. Early Negan was a great villain. I can name
Terminus.
I can name one.
Yeah, Terminus.
I can name one good villain from Fear the Walking Dead, and they killed him off.
Troy Otto.
So quickly.
Troy, yeah.
Troy Otto was so good, and he got killed off. And now I literally can't name another villain from Fear that are really connected to or really cared about.
Okay, so I have two things that I would like to see from Fear, and then I'll leave it because I know we have to move on. I think they need a clear-cut villain. The show will benefit from having that, and I also think they either need to wholly commit to being a part of The Walking Dead or just completely drop that entirely. Because teasing us and doing this and that and just planting little seeds like this logo, the same logo that took Rick off, that was on the helicopter, that took Rick showing up on
this is
Fear.
all getting kind of crazy.
It's interesting, and I'm having fun covering it, but if you're not going to pay it off, don't dangle the fruit. You're only going to piss people off by doing that.
I agree with you. I don't see either one of those things happening. I
think it's just going to keep kind
as
of
long as they can.
Meander in the middle.
World building is interesting, but don't act as if we might see Rick or we might go where Rick went or something if we're not going to.
Yeah, and they don't need that. Like, besides the This Land Is Your Land episode, one of my other favorite episodes of any Walking Dead series is the John and June episode.
That was,
oh my God, so good.
It was
that
a
was
movie.
like
that.
Yeah.
You could do an anthology series. That proved you can do an anthology series in this universe.
Yeah.
And that will be good.
Honestly, it ties
two
it back
people-
to
it
the
had nothing to
main
do with
problem. The
anything,
main
like, yeah,
problem of
just
this
two
whole
people
thing
remotely sitting there.
is that the show is called Fear the Walking Dead. That's the whole issue. This show is so good on its own, but it's directly tied to the successes and the failures of The Walking Dead because that's how they're pushing it. They're dangling things together. They're tying things together. It's called that from the beginning. If people weren't interested in The Walking Dead, they weren't going to watch Fear the Walking Dead.
I don't know if
I mean,
that's true.
some like
It wouldn't have got a second
Alicia
season.
Deadman
No.
Carey fans are going to do that. They're going to watch it because they love her.
I don't know if it
It's
would
a
have got
small.
a second
I'm
season.
like
you're
one
not-
of the smallest sample. I'm one of that small
Right.
sample group who will
I am too.
watch
I
Fear
love
even
it.
if I don't like what's happening
Correct.
on the Walking
I
Dead.
agree. And it's its own show and it can stand up to that. But it has such a hard time separating itself. People get a bad taste in their mouth for The Walking Dead that's maybe gone on too long for people, and they want nothing to do with Fear.
I think that only started recently once Morgan crossed over and Scott Gimple and the team started getting the plans for the movies in the connected universe. I think originally the plan was to keep it completely separate.
But if
and
it was
Dave
a different
Erickson,
title, you
the
have
reason
such
Dave
a
Erickson
better
is no
chance of
longer
doing
the
that.
showrunner. Well, but if it's a different title, then you don't have 10 million people watch the first episode.
Yeah,
But
that's the catch-22.
Dave Erickson
true.
wanted to do a standalone show, and that's why Dave Erickson left in season 4, because he had an end game. He was going to put Madison as the villain against her kids. That was the end game for Fear the Walking Dead. That sounds awesome, but it became something else. And it could. Season 4 gets better as it goes, or season 5 gets better as it goes, in my opinion. Episode 3 gets better than episode 2, and episode 4 gets better than episode 3. We'll see if it can continue that trend through the rest of season 5.
And I'll say this: if you're not going to do a good, like really strong, charismatic villain, then just do what has made the show succeed the best. Just trust in your actors and give them more episodes that like rest on their shoulders.
Preach.
Because every time you do, like, I can think of everybody who's had a great kind of focused episode. Al, John,
Daniel Salazar
Jude,
episode.
Salazar,
Ruben
Alisha.
Blades.
Yeah, like
Well, those are the ones that have always been so great on The
Strand,
Walking
like,
Dead.
all of them have.
No, the Walking Dead bottle episodes suck.
Not always.
Yeah, sometimes
Almost
they do.
always.
I'm
Because they
always
can't.
gonna
But
be a
Walking Dead,
stand
by its
for
nature,
that.
can't like really get that
Morgan
individual.
episode in the
Season
cabin-
7.
That Morgan episode in the cabin
Was
is
not
one of the
it's
best
not, no,
episodes
it's
of that
not.
series.
Hands
down.
No, it's not.
With the
the most
cheesemaker.
well-written-
I mean, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, but there's
So
also,
good.
I mean, a lot of the best
the
Walking Dead
Carol Look at
episodes.
the Flowers episode is a bottle episode, a very standalone episode.
There's at least like 6 characters in
Amazing.
that
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. There's a lot of
It's-
characters. in that.
but I mean, there was
Tyrese,
30 characters
Lizzie,
on the
Mia.
show.
other like where the girls
was still a
raid, where the
standalone
girls
episode.
go and take out that whole other
Yeah, there,
facility of Savior Girls.
with the
also
Daniel Salazar
ensemble
episode, it
stuff,
was
like,
what we're talking about is the episodes like the Tara episode.
Yeah, that's bad.
That was bad.
Right. But like the Morgan backstory episode, I think, like I said, the Look at the Flowers was 4 characters throughout the episode.
But that was just one scene in that episode.
no, that was a whole
Fear-
episode of.
I mean,
the
it's
4
kind of. I don't want to
characters.
get too off point because we got to end. But like, Fear has shown the ability to slow down and focus on such a smaller, like, character focus than Walking Dead ever has. Like, Walking Dead doesn't. It has a few episodes that feature like 1 or 2 people, but like not really. I mean, it's all about the ensemble and the connections between this.
Walking Dead is at its best when everybody's together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Fear the Walking Dead, it can
Kinda the
allow,
opposite.
it can use the character, like they love to spread the characters out, which is frustrating, but it benefits when you let when you let a single character grow and shine.
Yeah. All right, well, you heard Brandon Davis. Fear the Walking Dead's going to hopefully pick up on us, but not be perfect in season 5. Let us know what you guys think of the season so far and how you kind of relate this show to The Walking Dead. That's going to do it for us on Comic Book Nation this episode. If you are just kind of jumping into the show, we post new episodes every Wednesday and Friday on Comicbook.com. And if you go into those articles, you can find an RSS feed you can subscribe to, or you can subscribe on your favorite listening platform. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Playlists, Google Podcasts, and you can tell any Amazon Alexa-powered device, play Comic Book Nation podcast, and it will fire up for you.
Wow.
If you heard anything in the show that you like or want to continue, or you don't like and just want to kind of join in the conversation, you can always hit us up at #ComicBookNation, and we'd be happy to chat with you. Or you can talk to us individually. You can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
At Charlie Ridgely.
You can hit me up at Brandon Davis PD.
And we just want to say, have a good time. Enjoy what you're watching. I don't really have an outro for this. We out.
Peace and blessings.